Hello, students. Today we are going to see group behavior and its elements. These are the four important elements of group behavior. Uh, and as you know, group behavior, as like individual behavior, is a very important component of OB. Group behavior includes understanding, monitoring the behavior of different groups at work in the organization. And when you study group behavior, you will be able to reveal or find out the modus operandi of groups and its impact on performance of group. So productivity and efficiency of any organization, again and again I'm telling you that the success of any organization, the productivity, the effectiveness, the efficiency of any organization depends upon the performance of its groups. And therefore different elements of group behavior are so very important, which we are going to study today. So these are the four elements, or we can call different elements of group behavior, which are very important, or they lay the foundation of group behavior. The first one is norms. Norms means, in short, these are the rules made by the group, and these group members thoroughly follow these rules and they behave accordingly. Nobody is allowed to break these rules or break those norms. Their behavior is totally as per the rules laid down by the groups. So every group does have its expressed and implied rules of behavior, which every member of the group has to follow it, and these rules are therefore called as group norms. So these group norms plays very influential role in the process of group behavior. Now what is meant by group norms? As I said, in simple language, they are the rules to be followed by the group members, but in management language they are called as the standards of acceptable behavior established by group for their members. Okay, so whatever the standard behavior which is being accepted in the group, which is decided by the group thoroughly, maybe by the leader or the colleagues together, or all the group members decide the rules or the norms of the group, that is called as they are called as group norms. So what is that norms? What are those norms? They are the set of beliefs, feelings and attitude which are commonly shared by the members. Okay, so whatever they do believe in, whatever their feelings are, whatever their attitudes are, when they commonly share these, they are called as group norms. Okay, so the strength of these norms depends upon the stability of the group members, the relationship between them, their affiliation with the group. And these norms or rules differ from group to group. That means every group is having its own rules and regulations, and no two groups can have similar kind of norms. Okay, now in case of features of norms, norms are applicable for group behavior. They are used for accomplishment of its goals. Then they are gradually developed. All of a sudden, whenever you form a group, all of a sudden everything is not in a written form. These are rules and regulation. Slowly, as you experience the things, as you find, you come across the difficulties to achieve your goals, these rules go on. Form the formation of rules goes on slowly and gradually as you proceed further towards the achievement of goals. So it's a slow and gradual process. The norms do have that power to maintain the affiliation and group unity among the members. Then it is useful, that means these norms are useful for resisting the external pressures and threats. Okay, so whatever external pressures, your pressure of another groups, those are resisted because you are following your own rules. You are not ready to break them, and you are doing everything properly as per the rules. So the other people, definitely they hesitate, or they won't allow you to break the rule and do the things out of the way for them. Okay, so it resists the external pressures, nobody entertains it therefore. Then, as I said, these norms are enforced by four methods. Which are the four methods for making your group members know about the norms? The first method is educating. Educating means whenever new member is added to your group, it is your duty as a member of the group or the head of the group or the leader of the group that you should educate the new member about what are the rules and regulations of this group. If he wants to be with that, or if he agrees with those rules, he can stay with it. And whenever you want to be a part of that group, you have to follow these rules and regulations. This is what, how you're going to educate a new person, and how you're going to try him to adapt himself with the whatever group environment you're having. Okay, so that is educating. This is the first method where norms are enforced. Second is regularly monitoring. That means you as a leader or all the group members have to keep a watch on each other and see to it that none of the rules are being broken or they are not followed by anyone. Don't break the rules. Okay, you keep on monitoring the performance, or regularly you keep a watch on your group members that whether these rules are norms are thoroughly followed or not. And the last method of enforcing norms is warning and sanctions. So here, if you find in your regular monitoring stage, if you find that some of the group members are not following the rules and regulations, they are behaving against the norms, then definitely you can warn them. So warning would be the last method, where you can warn them, give them a specific time, and they, first and last warning, two warnings, three warnings, whatever your rule is, according to you can warn and see to it that his behavior is changed and he is trying to follow the rules. Okay, so that was all about norms or rules. Now second important element is cohesiveness. Means it is sanlagnata, you can call it is in Marathi, or it is about the attachment of the members towards their group. So it is the degree of attachment, and a group which is highly cohesive is more powerful, and it strictly follows its rules and regulation. Okay, then as far as the size of the group is concerned, small group is highly cohesive, while the large group is not that much cohesive. And if you compare with the types of groups, informal groups are more cohesive than formal groups. So that is natural, because informal groups are formed because it is all up to your, as per your wish, you have formed those informal groups. You include your friends in informal groups, you include such individuals in your informal groups who are having same kind of thinking, some is common interest area, some with whom your wavelength matches. So you are having more cohesiveness in informal groups than formal groups. And the performance and the productivity of group depends upon how cohesive the group is. Okay, so which are the features of cohesive group? Members are highly loyal. Members show group goals. They strictly follow the group norms. They are having a very interpersonal communication, effective interpersonal communication, because your relationship is built on communication. So you are having a very, if your group is highly cohesive, it means you are having good communication. Members are must stand unitedly against any sort of threat coming from external environment. Group enjoys high status. Members do have full faith in the group. The group is more powerful. Members are strongly affiliated to the group. Group is relatively small. As I said, small group is having highly cohesiveness. Okay, so cohesiveness is the another element of group behavior. Then next part is roles. Now, role of a member means what sort of role that particular employee is playing in that group and as a whole, organization as a whole. What sort of position he does have in the organization. And a role is an expected behavior of member of group. So role is related to his function and responsibility which is assigned to him. That is also important. According to your role, you behave in your group. Okay, so, and the last part is intergroup conflict. Now what is conflict? Intergroup conflict means conflict between two groups, two departments, two sections in the organization. And because of conflicts, definitely the performance is badly affected. It disturbs the cohesiveness of the group, and these groups are these conflicts are generally highly visible. People come to know in the internal environment, external also, about the conflicts taking place in the organization. And these conflicts do take place because of intrapersonal conflicts, interpersonal conflicts, competition, ambiguity about the task. There are so many reasons. So because of all these reasons, conflicts do take place. Now, what is the role of manager in how he should handle the conflict is that a manager should identify the reasons of intergroup conflicts and see to it that they are solved at their earliest. Okay, so those can be, so the manager has to make use of his own skill for solving these intergroup conflicts, that is the conflict between two department or two groups. There should not be any kind of bitter relationship between the within the organization. So that take care has to be taken by the manager himself. Oh, so these were the four group elements. Now we are going to see group performance factors. They are also called as foundation of group behavior. That means the behavior of group depends upon these factors. Okay, so uh, you can, when you study these factors, you can easily predict and understand the behavior of group. Okay, so the first one is organizational condition. So external conditions, it includes, you know relating to organizational elements. So it includes the strategy of organization, authority, managerial styles, organizational resources, formal regulations, safety measures, working conditions, physical work setting, reward system. Now, all these organizational conditions do have effect on the group. All these factors affect the behavior of group. A group operates in these conditions, and externally these factors do affect what sort of selection policy you are having, what kind of safety measures you have, your working conditions, your organizational culture matters a lot, and it definitely affects the group behavior. Next point is resources of group members. The behavior of group depends upon the resources of its members. When the resources are more, higher is the performance of the group. So member resources include, ability, personality, skill, experience, intelligence, wisdom, values, attitudes, perception, etc. So the relationship between the member resources and group behavior is undebatable. The resource of all the members contributes for the behavior of group to which they belong. So what are the resources of group members? What is the That means it includes all sort of abilities and intellectual level of those group members. According to that, their behavior is going to undergo a change. Then next point is group structure. The structure of group is very important part of group behavior. And these the different variables of structure definitely affect the behavior of group. These variables include the leader, who is the leader of the group, role of the member, size of the group, then interpersonal communication, nature of membership. These are the factors which have to be considered, and they are related to group behavior. So effective and homogeneous structure definitely leads to better behavior of group. So this is another group performance factor which affects the behavior of employees, that is group structure. Then what is the group process? That is the another point. So now this process is related with internal interactions. It refers to the communication patterns between the members, decision making process, leader behavior within the group, conflict interactions. These are the factors. That means the group behavior is determined by the processes. Okay, so what is the process of formation of group? That is important. Next is group task. Behavior of group is also influenced by tasks which are given to them. Now the task in which your employees are engaged definitely determines the performance of the groups. Then there are two types of tasks, short term task, long term task. So accordingly the behavior of members undergo a change. And last part is group composition. Group activities require variety of skills and knowledge for the assigned task. So group composed of heterogeneous individual is more effective and dynamic than homogeneous. That means very variety of people if you are having, then it would have your performance would increase. Because heterogeneous group has diverse abilities, capacities and knowledge required to perform its task more effectively. So the heterogeneous group in terms of personalities, abilities, opinions, different people with different skills, perspective, gender, traits. So this is heterogeneous group. So instead of homogeneous group, it is better to prefer heterogeneous group. So this was the last point where we studied group composition is very important part of group performance factor. So with this we will end with today's lecture. Thank you.